Hey everyone, it's and it's ITS and IT apostrophe S are two such simple words, and yet they are completely different from each other and very often confused. In this video, I'm going to tell you the specific differences between the two words and how you can very easily decide when to use which word. So please keep watching if you are one of those many people who is always confused with these words. It's actually quite easy to tell the difference. There's one basic difference between the two. Of course, the unmistakable difference between its and its, both pronounced exactly the same way, is the apostrophe that is used in one of the words. I'm sure you've noticed that. ITS, its, and the second word is IT apostrophe S. Now, why is the apostrophe used over there? When you can remember why that apostrophe is used, it will be very easy for you to understand where to use each of these words. Just remember one thing. The apostrophe is usually used to show belonging and is also used when a letter is missing. So in this case, IT apostrophe S, a letter is missing. That's why we use an apostrophe there to show that that letter is missing. Okay, now what is that letter which is missing? Why do we have to use a word like this? This word IT apostrophe S is called a contraction. It's a short form of a bigger word. Why do we use contractions? Oh, just to make the language more flowery, to save time when you're using bigger words? Because you want to. But if you are faced with this situation where you have to choose between the two words, would you be able to tell the difference? Let's see. I'll make it easy for you. The first word, ITS, it's, without an apostrophe. What is that word? It's is the possessive form of the pronoun it. You all know what it is. It, the pronoun it, is used when you don't know whether something is masculine or feminine, right? It is a dog, it is a cat, it lay on the windowsill. It shows belonging. Now, if you are using the word it's, all this time I was talking about the pronoun it. Please don't get confused. It, okay, is a pronoun, a word that is used in place of a noun. And you use it and not she or he if you don't know the gender. For example, it is a dog, it is a cat, if you don't know the gender. Okay? But it's, the word it's, is the possessive form of the pronoun it, and it shows belonging. For example, the cat licked its tail. Notice how it's is written here. There's no apostrophe. The cat licked its tail. It's showing belonging. Whose tail? The cat's tail, showing belonging. The second example, the mantelpiece is beautiful with its many plaques and pictures. Its many plaques and pictures. How is it showing belonging here? Because the plaques and pictures belong to the mantelpiece, right? The third example, the dog walked across the road with a banana in its mouth. Its mouth, showing belonging again, because it is the dog's mouth we're talking about. So in this case, when you're using its, without an apostrophe, you are showing belonging. Okay? What about the other word? It's, again, but with an apostrophe. It's is a contraction of it is or it has. So if you don't want to write or use it in your speech as a full form, like it is a great day. It has been a pleasure to meet you. If you don't want to use the full form like that, then you can use the short form. It's a great day. It's been a pleasure to meet you. Should I repeat those two again? It is a great day, or it's a great day. It has been a pleasure to meet you. It's been a pleasure to meet you. So I'm using the full form and the contraction. Now, one thing is when you're speaking, you cannot tell the difference between the two words, the two it's. But when you're writing, you have to be very careful about where you're going to put the apostrophe. So the right way to remember is think about whether you are using the contraction or the possessive form of the pronoun. Think of it that way. If that is too much to remember, just think whether you are using a contraction. Is it the short form of the words is it or it is or it has? Is it a short form for those words? And if it is the contraction, then you use an apostrophe. You use an apostrophe to show that a letter is missing. Example, it's a warm day. What was the full form? It is a warm day, right? I don't want to say it is a warm day, so I'm saying it's a warm day. But when I write it, I have to make sure that I put the apostrophe there to show that something is missing. What's missing? I is missing, the letter I. Because instead of it is, I'm saying it's. It should actually be it is in full form. So I have to use the apostrophe and use the apostrophe in the exact place where the letter is missing. The second example, it's never been so warm in the month of July. What's this? It has never been so warm in the month of July. So the words are it has, and I am reducing them to a contraction, and therefore I am using the apostrophe. And I'm using the apostrophe in the exact place where letters are missing. It has. Which letters are missing here? H and A. Followed? The third example. It's time for the movie to begin. It's time for the movie to begin. It is time for the movie to begin. Again, it's a contraction because if I think of the sentence, I know that it's actually, it is time for the movie to begin, and there's a letter missing there. Now I need to put that apostrophe in the exact place where that letter is missing. So it is, I is missing. So I'm going to put an apostrophe exactly after T to show that I is missing there. It's time for the movie to begin. The easy way to remember the difference is to try and substitute the words it is or it has for its. If it makes sense to use it is or it has after you substitute it, then you should be using the contraction it apostrophe s. If, however, it doesn't make sense, then you should use its without an apostrophe. So all you need to do is, if you have a sentence ahead of you, for example, I've seen that cat before with a piece of ginger in its mouth. Now, all you need to do is, if you hear this sentence, you need to think for a minute whether it is a contraction, whether it is a contraction of the words it is or it has. Let's say the sentence again now and substitute it for it is or it has and see if it makes sense. Okay? If it makes sense, then I know it's a contraction and I need to use the apostrophe. If it doesn't make sense with it is or it has, then it's not a contraction and I don't need to use the apostrophe. Okay, so I'm going through the sentence again. I've seen that cat before with a piece of ginger in its mouth. I've seen that cat before with a piece of ginger in its mouth. Does it make sense? No. Let's try with it has. I've seen that cat before with a piece of ginger in it has mouth. Definitely not, right? So all you need to do when you see a sentence like this is to see if you can substitute its for it is or it has. And if you can, then you use the apostrophe. Now in this sentence that I just said to you, You cannot. It doesn't make sense, right? I have said the sentence to you with it is and it has, and it definitely doesn't make sense. So if it doesn't make sense, then it's not a contraction. Okay? It's not a contraction, so you don't use the apostrophe. So you write it's without an apostrophe, just I-T-S. So that's my tip for you. All you need to do is substitute ITS for the full form of the word. If you can substitute it and it makes sense after substituting it, then it's a contraction and you need to use an apostrophe. If it doesn't make sense, then it's not a contraction and you don't use an apostrophe. That's all there is to it. You just need to do that and you will be absolutely sure that you're not making a mistake at all. That's the end of today's video, today's lesson. I hope you have gained from it, and I hope that you will never be confused again. I hope the tip was useful to you. Until we meet again, cheerio.